Maya was a curious young woman who loved exploring the quiet corners of her town. Every weekend she would take long walks through fields, old barns, and abandoned farms. She enjoyed imagining the lives of people who had lived there long ago. On one sunny morning, she decided to explore a farm she had never visited before. The farm was surrounded by tall grass and a wooden fence that looked worn and broken in places. A few trees leaned slightly, their leaves whispering softly in the wind. Maya felt a mix of excitement and calm as she stepped through the gate. The barn at the center of the farm was old and faded. Its wood had turned gray from years of sun and rain. Some boards were loose and the roof had a small hole. Maya slowly pushed open the barn door, which creaked loudly. Inside, dust floated in the sunbeams coming through cracks in the walls. The smell of earth and old wood filled the air. Maya carefully stepped forward, her eyes scanning the shadows. Then, in the corner of the barn, she saw it. A tractor. The tractor was covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. Its paint had faded, and the metal had started to rust. The tires were flat, and the engine looked worn out. Maya crouched down to examine it. She ran her fingers over the faded green paint, noticing small scratches and dents. The tractor had clearly been used many years ago. She imagined someone working hard with it in the fields, pulling heavy loads, planting seeds and harvesting crops. It seemed as if the tractor held the memories of a lifetime, waiting silently to be discovered. Maya felt a sudden spark of inspiration. She had always loved fixing things, and the idea of restoring the tractor excited her. She could imagine it shining brightly again, running smoothly across the fields, full of life. But there was more than just fixing the machine. She wondered about the story behind it. Who had owned it? Why had it been left in the barn for so many years? The thought of uncovering a hidden story made her heart beat faster. She walked around the tractor, examining every part. The tires were cracked, and the engine needed cleaning. The seat was torn and the steering wheel was stiff. It would be a lot of work, but Maya didn't mind. She enjoyed challenges, especially when they involved something unique like this. She took out her notebook and began writing down her first observations. She drew sketches of the tractor and made a list of parts she would need to repair. Maya loved making plans and felt motivated to bring this old machine back to life. Maya spent hours in the barn, carefully cleaning dust and cobwebs from the tractor. She used an old brush she had brought with her and wiped the metal surfaces gently. Each stroke revealed the faded green paint underneath. She imagined how bright and beautiful it must have looked decades ago. As she worked, she felt connected to the past. The barn, the tractor, and the fields outside seemed to tell a quiet story, one that only she could hear. When the sun began to lower in the sky, Maya finally stepped back and looked at the tractor. Even covered in dust and rust, it had a kind of beauty that was impossible to ignore. She smiled to herself, knowing that restoring it would be a long journey, but it was one she was ready to take. That evening she walked home with a sense of purpose and excitement. She was not just exploring an old farm, she had discovered a treasure that had been hidden for years. Maya felt a mix of pride and curiosity. She could not wait to start the restoration and uncover the secrets this tractor might be hiding. From that day, the old tractor became the center of Maya's attention. It was more than a machine. It was a mystery, a piece of history waiting to be revived. And Maya, with her determination and curiosity, was ready to bring it back to life. She didn't yet know what secrets it held, but she was ready for the adventure ahead. The discovery of the old tractor marked the beginning of something extraordinary in Maya's life, a journey filled with work, wonder, and unexpected surprises. After her first visit to the barn, Maya could not stop thinking about the old tractor. Every day she imagined it running again, its engine humming and tires moving smoothly across the fields. She knew that restoring a tractor from the 1930s would not be easy. The years of rust, dust, and neglect had left their mark. But Maya loved challenges, and this one felt special. She decided to make a detailed plan before starting the work. The next morning, Maya returned to the barn with her notebook, a camera, and a small set of tools. She wanted to carefully record everything about the tractor before touching it, She measured its tires, examined the engine, and checked the steering. She took photographs from every angle so she could refer to them later. Then she made a list of everything that needed attention. The engine needed cleaning and oil, the tires needed repair, the seat was torn, and the paint was faded. She also noticed small dents and scratches in the metal body. Maya realized she would need special parts to restore the tractor. She remembered hearing from her grandfather that some old tractors had rare components that were hard to find. She decided to visit local workshops and antique shops to see if she could find the pieces she needed. She also thought about asking other farmers in the town who might have old tractors or spare parts. Maya was determined to gather everything before starting the restoration. Over the next few days, she visited small workshops and asked questions about 1930s tractors. Some mechanics smiled at her curiosity, and a few even offered old tools and spare parts. One elderly farmer, Mr. Karim, showed her a collection of tractor manuals from decades ago. He explained how certain engines worked and gave her advice on fixing rusted parts. Maya listened carefully and took notes. She felt grateful for the guidance, knowing that the knowledge of these older people was just as important as any new tool she could buy. Maya also planned how she would clean and paint the tractor. She wanted it to look bright and lively, but she also wanted to keep some of its old charm. She decided to use a green color similar to the original and clean the metal parts carefully to show the worn details. She thought about how satisfying it would be to see the tractor gradually transform from a rusty, forgotten machine into something strong and beautiful again. While making her plan, Maya kept thinking about the tractor's past. She imagined the farmer who had used it, plowing fields and planting seeds. She imagined children running near it, and families working together during harvest. The tractor had been a part of many lives, and Maya felt a connection to those memories. She wanted to restore it not only to make it work again, but also to honor the stories it carried. Each night, Maya went home feeling both tired and excited. She organized her tools, prepared the parts she had collected, and wrote detailed steps for the restoration. She felt proud of her plan and of herself for taking on such a challenge. She knew the work ahead would take patience, skill, and dedication, but she felt ready. The thought of giving the old tractor a new life motivated her every day. By the end of the week, Maya had everything ready: tools, spare parts, cleaning supplies, and a detailed plan. She stood in front of the tractor, looking at it with determination. The machine still looked old and worn, but to Maya, it was full of possibilities. She knew that the journey of restoration was about to begin, and every step would bring her closer to discovering more than just the tractor itself. Maya smiled as she imagined the tractor running again. She felt a sense of purpose and excitement she had never felt before. The restoration was not only about fixing metal and tires, it was about uncovering a story, connecting with the past, and creating something lasting. With her plan ready and her heart full of determination, Maya took a deep breath and prepared for the first day of hard work. She was ready to bring the old tractor back to life. The next morning, Maya arrived at the barn feeling both excited and a little nervous. Today was the day she would begin the actual work of restoring the old tractor. She carried her toolbox, rags, cleaning supplies, and a small bucket of oil. Sunlight filtered through the cracks in the barn walls, making dust particles dance in the air. Maya took a deep breath and looked at the tractor. It seemed larger and more intimidating than she had remembered. But she smiled, ready to face the challenge. She started with the tires. They were flat and cracked from years of sitting in the barn. Maya carefully inspected each one, using a small brush to remove dirt and dust. She then applied oil to the metal parts of the wheels to loosen any rust. It was slow work, but she did not mind. She felt proud with every small step she completed. The tires were the first part of the tractor to show progress, and Maya's excitement grew as she imagined them turning smoothly again. Next, she moved to the engine. The metal was dark with rust and the old oil had hardened. Maya used a soft brush to remove layers of dirt and grime. She carefully applied fresh oil and wiped the metal clean. She followed the instructions she had learned from Mr. Karim in the old manuals she had studied. Every turn of a bolt and every careful movement made her feel closer to the tractor's past. She imagined the farmer who had once operated it, working long hours in the fields. She felt connected to that life in a way that made her work even more meaningful. The steering wheel was stiff and difficult to turn, Maya applied oil and worked it slowly, twisting it gently from side to side. Hours passed and her hands became sore, but she did not give up. With patience, the steering began to move more smoothly. She wiped her forehead and smiled, realizing that each small victory brought her closer to her goal. The tractor was responding to her care, as if it recognized her dedication. Then came the seat. It was torn and worn, with padding falling apart. Maya carefully removed it, taking note of how it had been attached. She cleaned the metal frame and set aside the old material. She planned to replace it with new padding while keeping the original shape. The thought of sitting on the restored seat one day, feeling the tractor alive beneath her, filled her with energy. Maya also cleaned the body of the tractor. Layers of dust and rust hid the original green paint. She scrubbed carefully, revealing small patches of color that hinted at its former brightness. She smiled, knowing that a few more days of work would bring back its full charm. As she worked, sunlight moved across the barn and the shadows shifted around her. She felt as if the tractor had been waiting for this moment for many years, and now it was finally receiving the care it deserved. Neighbors began to notice Maya working diligently. Some stopped by to watch, while others offered small tools or shared advice. An elderly woman told her stories about the farm and the people who had lived there long ago. A few children peeked through the barn door, curious about the shiny metal machine. Maya welcomed their interest and explained in simple words what she was doing. She realized that the tractor was not just a project. It was becoming a connection between generations, a bridge between the past and the present. By the end of the day, the tractor looked different. The tires were cleaner, the engine had been oiled, and the steering moved with less effort. The barn smelled of oil and fresh metal, and sunlight highlighted the patches of green paint that were slowly coming back to life. Maya stepped back and admired her progress. She felt proud but also aware that much work still remained. She knew the journey of restoration would take time, patience, and care. As she packed her tools and prepared to leave, Maya felt a sense of satisfaction she had never experienced before. She had started something important, something that connected her to history and gave her a new purpose. Tomorrow she would return to continue, ready to bring the tractor even closer to life. The old machine, once forgotten and hidden in the barn, was beginning to shine again under Maya's careful hands. And with every turn of a bolt, every sweep of the brush, she felt herself discovering not just a tractor, but a story waiting to be told. Maya returned to the barn the following morning, her excitement higher than ever. She carried her tools, a small flashlight, and a notebook to record anything unusual she might find. The tractor had already begun to look different. The tires were cleaner, the engine moved smoothly, and the faded green paint had started to shine in the morning light. Maya felt proud of the progress she had made, but a quiet curiosity lingered in her mind. There was something about the tractor that felt mysterious, as if it were holding a secret. She began her work by checking the engine and the steering. Everything seemed to be running well, and the tractor responded to her careful touch. While tightening a bolt near the seat, Maya noticed something unusual. There was a small metal flap hidden beneath the worn leather. She had not seen it before, and it did not look like a normal part of the tractor. Her heart began to beat faster. Could this be a hidden compartment? She carefully moved the flap aside, using her flashlight to see better in the shadowed space beneath the seat. Inside, Maya found a small, rusty tin box. It was heavy for its size, and the metal had darkened with age. She wiped off the dust and cobwebs and opened it slowly. Inside there were a few old papers yellowed with time and a folded piece of cloth. Maya's eyes widened as she realized that she had discovered something truly unusual. She gently unfolded the papers. One of them was a map drawn by hand with careful lines and a small X marked on it. Another paper contained notes in neat handwriting, describing locations and events from many years ago. Maya could hardly believe her luck. The tractor was no longer just an old machine. It had become a key to a hidden story. She carefully placed the papers in the tin box in her bag to keep them safe. She examined the map more closely. It showed the farm where she was standing and a small area behind the barn marked with the X. Maya's mind raced with questions. What could be buried there? Who had hidden it? And why had it been left for so many years? She spent the rest of the morning thinking about the discovery. The tractor seemed alive in a way she had never imagined. It had carried a secret all these years, hidden beneath the seat, waiting for someone curious and patient enough to find it. Maya felt a thrill of excitement and responsibility. She knew that what she had found was important and deserved to be treated with care. After cleaning and oiling a few more parts of the tractor, Maya took a break and sat on a nearby wooden crate. She looked around the barn and imagined the farmer who had hidden the box. She pictured the family working hard, hiding the items for reasons only they could know. The thought of connecting with people from the past through this small discovery made her feel a deep sense of wonder. It was as if the tractor had been waiting for her, guiding her to uncover its secret. Maya decided she would investigate the map the next day. She wanted to prepare carefully. She drew a copy of the map in her notebook and marked the location of the X. She planned to bring a small shovel and take all precautions while digging. Her excitement grew as she thought about what might be waiting for her in the marked spot. She felt like an explorer on a mission, discovering treasures hidden for decades. By evening, Maya packed her tools in the tin box carefully. She looked at the tractor now gleaming under the fading sunlight. It had become more than just a machine. It was a bridge to the past. She felt a mixture of pride, curiosity, and determination. Tomorrow would be the day she followed the map and discovered the secret the tractor had carried for so many years. Maya walked home with a smile on her face, thinking about the adventure ahead. She could hardly wait to return to the barn and see what lay hidden beneath the soil behind the old tree marked on the map. The tractor, once forgotten and dusty, had given her a gift far greater than restoration. It had given her a mystery, a story waiting to be revealed, and an exciting journey that was just beginning. The next morning, Maya woke up early, her mind buzzing with excitement. Today was the day she would follow the map, hidden inside the old tractor. She packed a small bag with a shovel, gloves, a flashlight, and the tin box she had found the day before. She wanted to be careful and prepared. The sun was just rising as she walked to the barn, casting long shadows across the fields. The morning air was fresh and birds chirped softly in the trees. Maya felt a mixture of anticipation and curiosity as she approached the tractor and thought about the hidden secret. She examined the map once more before heading to the area marked with the X. According to the map, it was near a large old tree behind the barn. Maya could see the tree in the distance. Its branches were wide and thick, and its roots twisted into the earth like a natural maze. She walked carefully toward it, her boots crunching on the dry leaves and grass. Her heart raced with every step. What could be buried there? She could hardly imagine the stories the map might reveal. When she reached the tree, Maya knelt down to examine the ground. The soil was hard from years of being untouched. She chose a small spot near the roots and began to dig slowly, carefully removing clumps of dirt. The work was tiring and her hands became sore, but she did not stop. Each shovelful of soil brought her closer to the unknown secret. She kept glancing at the tin box in her bag, wondering how it connected to the spot she was digging. After what felt like hours, Maya's shovel hit something solid. Her heart leaped. She cleared the surrounding dirt and discovered a small wooden crate. The crate was old, worn, and covered in mud, but it was intact. Maya carefully lifted it from the hole and placed it on the grass. She brushed away the remaining soil and examined it closely. The crate had a simple lock, but it was rusted and easy to open. She opened it slowly, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Inside the crate were several items, each telling a piece of a story from long ago. There were letters, yellowed with age but still readable. Photographs of a family smiling and working on the farm were neatly stacked. There were also a few coins from the 1930s and a small cloth bundle containing more papers. Maya's eyes widened as she carefully picked up each item. She could feel the history in her hands. Each letter, each photo, each coin seemed to speak of the lives of people who had lived on this farm decades ago. She spread the items on the grass and began reading the letters. They were written by a man named Henry, who had lived on this land with his family. The letters described everyday life, dreams, and plans for the farm. Henry wrote about planting crops, helping neighbors, and sharing meals with his children. The photographs showed joyful moments: children playing near the barn, a woman carrying a basket of vegetables, and a man standing proudly beside a tractor, perhaps the very one Maya was restoring. Maya felt a deep connection to Henry and his family. It was as if she had stepped into their lives through these letters and photographs. She realized that the tractor had been part of their story, a tool that carried memories, hard work, and love. Maya understood that her restoration work was not only about the machine itself, but also about preserving the history it represented. Carefully, she placed the letters and photographs back in the crate. She wrapped the crate in a clean cloth and decided to take it to her home for safekeeping. The secret buried for decades was now uncovered, and Maya felt a mixture of joy, respect, and responsibility. She had discovered more than old papers and coins. She had discovered a connection to the past, a story waiting to be remembered. As Maya walked back to the barn, carrying the crate carefully, she felt a sense of accomplishment. The tractor had led her to this treasure, and now it stood shiny and cared for in the barn, holding a secret that had waited patiently for someone to find it. Maya knew that this was only the beginning of understanding the history behind the tractor, the farm, and the family who had loved it. The adventure had just begun, and she was ready to uncover every story hidden within the letters and photographs she had found. Maya carefully carried the wooden crate into her small workshop at home. The sunlight fell softly through the window and dust motes danced in the air. She set the crate on her work table and began to examine the letters, photographs, and coins more closely. Each item seemed to tell a small piece of the life of Henry and his family. Maya felt a deep sense of connection to people she had never met, and she wanted to understand their story completely. She opened the letters one by one, reading carefully. The handwriting was neat, but the ink had faded over the years. Henry had written about his daily life on the farm, the challenges he faced, and the simple joys he enjoyed with his family. One letter described planting crops in the spring, and how proud he felt when they grew strong and healthy. Another letter spoke of the children playing near the barn, laughing as they ran across the fields. Maya could picture the scene clearly in her mind, and it made her smile. The photographs showed Henry, his wife, and their children in different moments of their life. One picture showed Henry standing beside a tractor, smiling with pride. The tractor looked much like the one Maya was restoring, and she realized that this was the very same machine. Other photographs showed family gatherings, children helping with chores, and a woman carrying baskets of vegetables. Maya felt as if she had traveled back in time and was witnessing the daily life of the family firsthand. As she continued reading, Maya learned more about Henry's hopes and dreams. He wrote about wanting to improve the farm, to plant new crops, and to teach his children the value of hard work. He also described his love for the community, helping neighbors when they needed support. Maya was amazed at how thoughtful and kind Henry had been. She realized that the tractor was not just a machine to him. It was a part of his life, helping him care for his family and his farm. The coins in the crate added another layer to the story. They were small, simple, and worn, but they were a reminder of the time period in which the family had lived. Maya imagined Henry saving them carefully, perhaps planning to use them for something important. Even these small objects carried meaning and helped Maya understand the life of the family better. Maya spent hours studying the letters and photographs. She felt as if she was becoming a part of Henry's story. She could see the care he had put into his farm, the love for his children, and the pride he had in the tractor. Every item in the crate was a piece of the past, and Maya wanted to preserve it carefully so that the story would not be forgotten. She decided to create a special place in her workshop for the crate and all its contents, keeping them safe and organized. As she worked, Maya thought about the importance of memory and history. She realized that the tractor had been more than a tool. It had been a companion, a witness to the family's life, and a carrier of secrets. By restoring it, she was not only bringing back a machine, but also honoring the life of Henry and his family. She felt proud to be part of this discovery, and to help preserve their story for the future. By the evening, Maya had finished organizing the crate and arranging the letters and photographs. She leaned back in her chair, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and connection. The tractor, the letters, the photographs, and the coins had opened a window to the past, showing her the life of a family who had worked hard, loved deeply, and left a legacy hidden in plain sight. Maya knew that her journey was not over. There was still more to learn, more to uncover about the farm, the tractor, and the family who had lived there. But for now, she felt happy and inspired. She realized that the simple act of restoring an old tractor had led her to something far greater than she had imagined, a story of life, love, and history waiting to be remembered. Maya spent the next few days organizing the letters, photographs, and coins she had found in the wooden crate. She wanted to share the story of Henry and his family with others so it would not be forgotten. The tractor, now restored to a shining green, seemed to wait patiently in the barn as if it, too, was part of the story she wanted to tell. Maya felt proud, not only of the work she had done on the tractor, but also of uncovering a secret history that had been hidden for decades. She decided to visit the local library, a small but welcoming place that held the history of the town. Maya carried the crate carefully, along with a few photographs and letters that she thought would be easiest to show. The librarian, Mrs. Anwar, was curious when Maya explained why she had come. Maya shared the story of the tractor, the hidden tin box, and the wooden crate with all its treasures. She showed the letters and photographs explaining how she had discovered them while restoring the tractor. Mrs. Anwar listened carefully, her eyes widening with interest. She had never heard of such a discovery in their town. She offered to help Maya preserve the letters and photographs properly so they could be displayed or studied by others. Together, they discussed creating a small exhibition at the library where people could see the tractor, the photographs, and the letters. Maya felt excited. The history she had uncovered would now be shared with the community, giving people a chance to learn about the past and connect with it. Maya also visited a few neighbors who had lived on the farm long ago. They were amazed to see the restored tractor and the photographs of Henry and his family. Many remembered hearing stories about Henry and how he had worked hard on the farm. Some shared their own memories, adding small details that made the story richer. Maya realized that history was not just in the letters and photographs. It was alive in the people who remembered it. She felt honored to bring those memories together, preserving them for the future. Back at the barn, the tractor stood proudly, shining in the sunlight. Children from the neighborhood came to see it, their eyes wide with curiosity. Maya explained the history of the tractor, how she had found it hidden and restored it, and the secret that lay beneath the seat for decades. The children listened attentively, fascinated by the story of Henry and his family. Maya enjoyed seeing their excitement. She realized that by sharing history, she was inspiring a new generation to value the past and learn from it. The restored tractor became more than a machine. It became a symbol of history, hard work, and discovery. Maya felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that she had connected people to the past in a meaningful way. The letters, photographs, and coins from the crate had revealed the life of a family who had once lived and worked on the farm. By sharing these treasures, Maya helped others understand the value of remembering and preserving history. Maya also wrote down her own experience in a notebook, documenting the restoration process and the discovery of the hidden crate. She included photographs of the tractor before and after restoration, and notes about the letters and coins she had found. She wanted to make sure that the story of her discovery would not be lost, just like Henry's story had been hidden for decades. By the end of the week, Maya felt proud and happy. The town now knew about the tractor and the hidden history it had carried. The barn, once quiet and forgotten, had become a place where stories were remembered and shared. Maya realized that the tractor had given her more than a project. It had given her a connection to the past, to a family she had never met, and to the community around her. As Maya looked at the shining tractor and the photographs carefully displayed in the barn, she felt a warm sense of satisfaction. The hard work, the discovery, and the sharing of history had created something special. She knew that Henry's story would now live on, remembered by the town and celebrated for generations to come. And through it all, Maya felt a quiet happiness, knowing that she had brought history back to life in a way that mattered. After weeks of work, Maya finally took a moment to sit back and reflect on everything that had happened. The old tractor, once forgotten and hidden under dust and rust, now stood proudly in the barn, shining with bright green paint and polished metal. It had taken hours of careful cleaning, oiling, and repairing, but the effort had been worth it. More than that, the tractor had led Maya to a discovery far greater than she had imagined, a hidden history of a family who had lived on the farm decades ago. Maya opened the wooden crate one last time and looked at the letters, photographs, and coins. Each item carried a story, a memory preserved through time. She thought about Henry, the farmer who had worked so hard on the land, and his family who had loved and cared for it. She could almost picture them standing near the barn, children playing in the field, Henry wiping sweat from his brow after a long day of work. Maya felt a connection to people she had never met, and it was a feeling she would never forget. The barn itself seemed different now. It was no longer a place of shadows and dust. With the restored tractor and the carefully preserved crate, It had become a space filled with history, stories, and life. Maya had also arranged for the town's children and neighbors to visit, so they could learn about the past and see the tractor for themselves. The children's excitement and curiosity reminded Maya of her own feelings when she first discovered the old machine. She realized that sharing history could inspire others, just as the tractor had inspired her. Maya thought about the journey she had taken. It had started with curiosity, a simple walk through a forgotten farm and a rusty old tractor. From there, she had uncovered a secret hidden for decades, restored a piece of history, and shared the story with the town. Each step had required patience, hard work, and careful attention, but it had also brought her joy, pride, and a sense of purpose. She understood now that history was not only about dates or events, but about the lives of people, the objects they used, and the memories they left behind. She also realized that the tractor was more than just a machine. It was a witness to life, a keeper of memories, and a symbol of the connection between the past and the present. By restoring it, Maya had not only brought it back to life, but had also honored the lives of Henry and his family. The tractor now carried their story forward, showing everyone who saw it that history can live again if someone cares enough to preserve it. As the sun began to set, Maya stepped outside the barn and looked at the fields. The wind gently moved the grass and the trees whispered softly. She thought about the adventures the tractor had once experienced and the quiet life of the farm many years ago. Now it was ready for a new chapter, not in the fields of long ago, but in the hearts of the people who had come to know its story. Maya felt a warm sense of fulfillment, knowing that she had played a role in keeping that history alive. That evening, Maya made a small notebook in which she wrote her own reflections about the restoration, the discovery, and the story of Henry and his family. She included photographs of the tractor before and after, the letters and the coins. She wanted to make sure that the journey she had taken would not be forgotten, just like Henry's story had been hidden for so many years. Maya also knew that the lessons she had learned would stay with her forever. She learned the value of patience, the importance of curiosity, and the joy of connecting with the past. She realized that even ordinary objects, like a rusty old tractor, can hold extraordinary stories. It was a lesson she wanted to remember and share with others. As the night fell, Maya sat quietly in front of the barn, looking at the tractor shining in the moonlight. She felt happy, calm, and inspired. The journey had started with a simple discovery and ended with a restored tractor, a hidden history revealed, and a story shared with the town. Maya knew that this was not the end. It was a new beginning. The tractor, the letters, the photographs, and the memories would continue to inspire anyone who took the time to notice, explore, and care. Maya smiled, feeling proud of what she had achieved. She understood that history lives not only in museums or books, but in the care and attention of those who are willing to look, to restore, and to remember. The old tractor had found a new life, and Maya had found a new purpose. Together they carried the past into the present and gave it a chance to be remembered for generations to come.